Our best thing is what I would call like operational innovation, which is small amount of time, hard problem to solve, figuring out how to do it with creative, flexible thinking, and the emotional response from our employees, which is total willingness to change on a dime, embracing of some degree of thrash, and then an amazing propensity for swarming on execution to get a thing done.
Welcome back to the DraftKings Life podcast. I'm Rebecca, a recruitment marketing senior specialist. And on today's episode, we have Chief Product Officer Corey Gottlieb and Chief Technology Officer Zach Mayberry here to talk about all things product and tech. DraftKings is a pioneer in the sports and entertainment industry because of the technology we have built and the products we have created. So these two executives have played a major role in helping us be so successful. So today we're going to get to know a little bit about them, their teams, and what they do here. So to start off, Zach, can you walk me through some of your career journey? Where did you start and how did you get here?
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for having us. For me, my start was actually in government software on the data science and machine learning side, and spent almost 8 years building strong technical foundation, working end to end. So not only building the models, but also deploying them out to customer sites. Then worked in a couple of other startups that were consumer software, consumer facing, before coming to DraftKings, and been here for 8 years. I think tomorrow, technically.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
So it's been quite a journey. In my time here at DraftKings, I've had a ton of different roles: back-end focused, infrastructure focused, consumer product focused, native apps, web, really everything in between. So had a ton of different areas that I've been able to focus on.
And Corey, where did you start?
Yeah, I think, like Zach and like most folks at DraftKings, I've sort of weaved and had a very unpredictable path that's ultimately led me here. I actually was an English major undergrad. I wanted to be a writer, to do something in content, very liberal arts focused in my background, had no idea about product or technology or the way that web products are built. My first job out of college, I applied to a Craigslist posting for overnight writers, part-time fantasy baseball news and notes writers for MLB.com. So I wrote like the little news blurbs that appear on the site, and just kind of learned and grew and figured out that I loved product. Left there, went back to business school, came back here to Boston after business school. I took a job as general manager overseeing Boston.com. So from there to here, I came to DraftKings. Zach mentioned he's about to be at 8 years. I just passed 9 years, not to make it a contest, but here at DraftKings, I like to one-up Zach wherever I can. And similarly, I've had, I'd worn many hats here. My first job at DraftKings, my role was as VP of New Media, which at the time was, our initial investment in building out a media and entertainment component of the company. So I oversaw our original content development. I did that for a couple of years. I shifted eventually to take over what was at the time core consumer product development for us, which was just fantasy product. Zach and I actually didn't completely crisscross, but have both worn that hat where I ran fantasy product here for a while. Zach ran fantasy technology here for a while, sort of an interesting overlap. And then eventually shifted into more sort of global product roles, and I've been in the CPO role for like 3.5 years or so. So similar sort of weaving path to ultimately get to here.
You both have been here for quite a while. Corey, a little bit longer.
Thank you.
What makes DraftKings a great place to work?
I mean, I always tell people that success here is, and like a happy experience here is so deeply rooted in relationship management and relationship building. I think the whole place functions off of trust and authenticity and transparent communication. And part of the reason why there are so many folks who have been here a long time is because they've stayed because they can't imagine working with any other human beings. Like there's just like a real directness and a sense of shared values. I think at this point, everybody that we work with is just like fundamentally a good person. So just like a shared emotional experience and really deep-rooted relationships, I think, is like the core of the company's success.
I would echo everything there. Maybe to add a few things, I think I love that we're really motivated with understanding the data and doing the right thing, sort of regardless of where or who that comes from. Really sort of try to empower everyone to have that ownership mentality and drive to the right decision, make it less about ego and more about the data. I'd say related to that is I find just culturally everyone, it doesn't matter whether it's product or technology or really any of our departments, everyone is super helpful. And I know that that's something that I value a lot. I have joked with product partners I've had in the past that, I'm willing to do anything to help us succeed. It doesn't have to be my lane. It can be, it's our product, it's our mission and goal. So I think everyone brings that mentality. We see that within departments, whether that's a site reliability engineer helping out a vertical engineer to debug an issue, or whether that's the collaboration you see across Corey and my teams with marketing and ops. Just everyone is really motivated, wants to win, and very data oriented. And I think those are just great values.
And Corey, we're constantly innovating and improving our apps, our games, our experiences. How do you describe our full product ecosystem?
It's interesting because, as we both mentioned, DraftKings for the better part of a decade was a single product, single vertical company, where it's not to say that it wasn't complicated for us to figure out. We had many challenges that we had to overcome and lots of stuff to navigate. But the reality was we were building a single thing for a single end user. And all of a sudden in 2018, with PASPA and the legislative changes that came, we became almost overnight a multi-product, multi-vertical, multi-geographic company where we acquired SB Tech, which is now a huge part of our company, more than 1,000 people. The bulk of our engineering capacity, certainly the way that we think about our sports betting, has come in a lot of ways through the folks that we brought on board there. So the notion of ecosystem has really changed for us. We're now this umbrella where there's a connective tissue that kind of integrates all of our products. And that's a real value of ours. We want our customers to have a seamless experience that is, integrated throughout, whether it's login or registration or their wallet or the way that they think about their profile, the way that they think about rewards and loyalty. All of that is a single integrated part of the ecosystem that sort of sits as this layer on the bottom. And then on top of that are consumer experiences. Right now, making up the ecosystem of consumer experiences are our daily fantasy product, our sportsbook product, our iGaming product, which is online casino, Pick 6, which is a fantasy product that we launched last year, which is a simplified version of fantasy that's become really popular. And then we've started to dabble into other spaces. So we launched a DraftKings horse racing product, for example, last year. We dabbled in marketplace and NFT related products over the last couple of years. So we have this sort of connective shared foundation, but then on top of that, we continue to build new consumer facing experiences that tap into different audiences. I would say that the glue that connects all of it is these are experiences that make watching or enjoying sports more fun, more exciting. There's a through line through all of them, which is this is fun, this is easy to do, this is something that is super appealing to a mainstream audience. All of our products have some degree of synergy, which is hey, if you play this thing with us, it's pretty likely you're going to be interested in this thing too. We think about them in connection with one another. So our ecosystem is sort of forever growing on the lanes of consumer-facing applications that we build, but also forever shared, and that the foundation that we've built is the glue that connects all of them.
And that shared ecosystem means both of your teams must collaborate so much. So how do your teams work together and to make our products the best that they can be?
Yeah, I think my teams can't do their best work without Corey's teams, and I think vice versa. And to me, that strong relationship there, that trust that Corey mentioned, and the kind of the drive to win and understand that we all contribute to that are fundamental to getting that done. And I would extend, it's even more than just Corey and I. It's the marketing teams, the operations teams. I could go on and list literally every department. We have to all work together to get this done. When we launch new products, we might need government affairs. We might need compliance and regulatory. There's just so many things that go into it. And going back to what Corey said about communication, that and collaboration is absolutely key to get good things done, to get them done quickly, and to get them done in a way that is industry leading. And so that partnership is absolutely critical. If Corey, if one of Corey's team members isn't getting what they need from engineering, that is the first thing that I want to be thinking about when I wake up in the morning and solving those problems, because that's really how we unlock our delivery and build great things.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that we've built, in a way that's pretty unique to DraftKings, a boundaryless definition of what product and technology mean. I think traditionally there's this notion like a product manager conceptualizes a product and writes requirements for a product, and then they hand that off to an engineering team who goes and executes on that product. Like, we fundamentally do not operate in that way. I think we've learned very quickly that the more sort of upstream emotional equity that a person has in the actual development and value of a product, the likely they are to work really hard on it, to be super excited about it, to drive to see it be successful. And so we deliberately blur those lines. Obviously, our teams have, to some extent, roles and responsibilities that we've defined, but we really want there to be this sort of egoless, boundaryless idea of what product and technology mean, such that our engineering teams feel like a real sense of ownership and pride over the things that they build, just as much as does any product manager.
It's helpful too when engineers understand the product and the customer well, and it's equally helpful when product managers or designers understand the technical capabilities. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the team comes together and does something great. And a big part of the team working well, like Corey mentioned, trust. Part of that is empathy as well. And you can't really have that if you don't understand what it is that your partners are doing, how their jobs work, what their values are, what their goals are. And these things all need to come together and work together harmoniously to actually move forward efficiently and innovatively.
Yeah, for sure. And if someone would ask you, what does the next 5 years at DraftKings look like? What would you say?
I'll tell you, time moves quickly here and incredibly slowly here. So 5 years is going to feel like it flies by in a second. And it's also going to feel like if I think about where we were 5 years ago, like the company had barely gone public. It had just become this multi-vertical machine that it is now. So much is different. So to some extent, it's kind of impossible to think about where we are in 5 years. I think there's sort of two lanes of answers. There's where will we be from a consumer offering and a product perspective, and then there's where will we be as people and as a group of employees. From a consumer product perspective, I think we have a pretty good formula for how we expand. We expand geographically, so we continue to launch our core products in new states as they come online and become available. That's a clear formula for us to grow. We continue to expand in the depth of those products, so we listen to our customers. We leverage a combination of great consumer analytics with great user research. We have tons of conversations with folks using our products to ultimately figure out what else we should build. Zach mentioned we have a strong propensity for owning our own technology. So I think we continue for sure to invest deeply in what actually lives with us. And then, of course, there's, naturally I mentioned that we have these consumer verticals that are synergistic, and I think naturally those will expand. So we, in addition to adding depth to existing products, we will add breadth to our overall product catalog. Then there's the people side, which I think is honestly the more compelling answer in a way because it's more predictable. I think our values are strong enough that it is much, much easier for me to tell you what we'll look like in terms of how we behave, what we prioritize, how we communicate in 5 years than it is exactly how to tell you what our product will look like. And I think that that's like a fundamental differentiator of the company, is that I can really clearly tell you that we are going to value our relationships, that we are going to be super transparent, that, execution oriented, analytically oriented, good judgment oriented decision making is going to be at the core of how we operate. So I guess I'd say the most predictable part is we are still going to be us. The fabric of who we are, very, very unlikely to change, but the manifestation of that comes in a lot of different ways that are honestly kind of hard to predict.
For people wondering what it's like to build technology here, to work with the product and tech teams, I think we have a very balanced, deliberate approach to how we roadmap. And it is a fantastic combination of platform investments and capabilities, like Corey mentioned, but also balancing out that we need to be first to market and we want to be fast. And we want to, most importantly, solve the problems that are customers are facing, the improvements in the app, new features, whatever those things may be, we want to address those things quickly. And so I think one thing I can say definitively looking forward is I think that has been our secret sauce, is the ability to not get lost in massive technical endeavors, but continue to make the right investments in the platform that allow us to unlock speed going forward.
With all of the projects, with everything that has happened, what is your favorite DraftKings memory?
For me, it's definitely the launch of Sportsbook. One of the things that I was working on at the time, I was running the financial platform team. We rebuilt our entire financial system and ledger to make sure that we would be able to actually comply with the regulatory reporting requirements that our previous system would not have been able to do. And that was basically redoing all of the financials that empower everything that the company does. At the time, we only had one revenue stream, so we couldn't disrupt that in daily fantasy sports. And we had to do that under tight time pressure. That was just one small team. There were many other teams led by phenomenal leaders, all of which are still here, who were building the Sportsbook product, new native apps, new website, integrating with third parties. So just sort of like an amazing effort across so many teams. And I remember on the day that we launched, we had a champagne toast in the office, and just that moment is I will never forget sort of moment, because you got to look across and you got to see like a army of people who all, put their metaphorical blood, sweat, and tears into that product over a very short period of time, and did something that, looking back, it's amazing that we were able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say less maybe one specific moment, but more an aggregate of moments that are thematic with what Zach described, which is that there are so many times over the course of my last 9 years here when we've gone to a small group of people who we trust and said, the thing that you've been working on for the past 6 months or 12 months, let's decide to pause that. And we need to launch something over the next 3 weeks that should take probably 5 months. And there is absolutely no choice but for us to do it, for us to either be compliant or be competitive. And here's an impossible problem packed into an even more impossible timeline. And my favorite moment consistently is that the default response is, amazing, how do we figure it out? Our best thing is what I would call like operational innovation, which is small amount of time, hard problem to solve, figuring out how to do it with creative, flexible thinking, and the emotional response from our employees, which is like maybe the single value that is like most I think identifiable in our folks, which is just like total flexibility, total willingness to change on a dime, embracing of some degree of thrash, and then an amazing propensity for swarming on execution to get a thing done. Zach mentioned our having done that when we rushed to be the first online sportsbook in New Jersey when we launched in 2018. We've done that with multiple new products where we had to be in market at a certain period of time, whether it was a new state that we were launching for our sportsbooks or our Pick 6 product, where we just had a very constrained delivery timeline and an amazing group of people in the room who just figured it out with zero thought about what their exact roles were, who owned what, and just this like totally egoless approach to getting things done. That is like a total microcosm for the way that the company operates. And I could, if I had the time, list off for you probably 20 moments like that. Mm-hmm. And the end result is always the same, which is we're tired, we're drained, we're probably a little bit frustrated, but like we're smiling and champagne toasting and whatever the sort of moment of success feels like, because we've done the thing. I have absolutely zero concern that we will ever not be able to do a thing if we have a small number of people in the room who are bought into doing that thing. So I have countless memories of that.
That is one thing that I've seen here. This place is full of problem solvers and people who love challenges and trying to find the best way to solve something. At DraftKings, the crown is yours. That is our tagline. That is our company slogan. And it's really something that I think teammates have really embraced of their work. They're owning their own work. And if there are projects that they need to take on, they're taking that on and wanting to grow within their own career. So when you hear the crown is yours, what does that mean for you?
I think for me, it means two things. So personally, I think, as I mentioned, I've been fortunate to have a lot of different opportunities. And so for me, in each one of those, I was asked to step up and own something new. It would stretch me. It would be a great opportunity for the company. And so that I feel like I always leaned in strongly to that. And so the word ownership comes to mind. I think for the teams, what I've also seen is this incredibly strong customer focus and orientation. And there, I think it's really understanding that whatever team you're on, you're a critical part of the overall success. We maybe need 100 things to go right across 7 different departments to place a bet or to run a casino game. All those things come together to enable that for DraftKings. So I think for our team as a whole, the crown is yours. It's really buying into and owning that every single one of us works for the customer, and we want to do whatever we can to deliver the best experience possible.
Yeah, I would echo both of the lanes through which you've interpreted it. That's the same way I think about it, which is we've become obsessive about authenticity with our customer, understanding how our customer actually uses our product, what he or she does or doesn't like, having direct lines of communication, reducing friction. That's become a core tenet of the way that we make prioritization decisions and how we operate. And the notion of the crown is yours was really actually built from that. It was giving to our customers a total sense of autonomy that we are building for you. And so everything that you see from us isn't an attempt to get you to engage with us more, to be happier with us. Our goal is to create happiness in somebody's life through the form of a product experience. That to me is the sort of initial headline. But I do think there's a really interesting internal application of it, which is, Zach mentioned it. We've, in my teams, framed it as this notion of extreme ownership, which is we just want you to function as if there's a problem with your house. This is a weird analogy, but you're going to behave fundamentally differently when you own that house as you did when you were renting an apartment. When you own it, there's this sense of total obligation to making it right. There's a permanence and a sustainability to what you want to build that's more than just a piece of tape or a little bit of glue. You want to fix the thing for real because the thing is yours. That's how we want everybody to feel about everything in the company, whether it's me reaching into technology or somebody from marketing reaching into product. That's just as much their house as it is mine. And whether or not I'm the builder of that particular room or they are, it doesn't matter. So that sense of extreme global ownership, the sense of DraftKings being yours, I think is fundamental to the way that we want people to operate.
Awesome. Guys, this has been a fantastic and a super insightful episode. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media at DraftKings Life, except for LinkedIn, where we're simply DraftKings. This podcast is available on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google. We got you. Be sure to download, listen, and even throw us a 5-star rating. Thanks so much and have a great day.